Hey guys, it's Alex here. We're just at one of our conversion projects that's well underway. You can see the framings happening behind me. In a couple of my previous videos, I'm sure I've mentioned that on every single job site, you're gonna come across some sort of challenge or challenges, for that matter, that you just can't foresee or forecast. Right when you're originally looking at a property, a lot of the properties that we go take a look at, there's garbage everywhere. It's, mountains of it. So you can't really see sometimes the walls or certain bedrooms and things like that. So any which way, and not to mention under the plaster, under the existing drywall, whichever it may be. So I want to take some time and walk you guys through a couple of the issues that we've had on this particular project and what we've had to do to solve them, and kind of what it costs at the end of the day. Because as much as we can't foresee them, we do have to fix them. And as soon as we uncover something that's done incorrectly, we have to make sure that we make it right. Okay, so anyway, come take a look with me. We're looking actually at the floor joist on the second floor. So we're on the main floor right now where we are, and that up there is the second story of this property. So I'm sure you guys can see that on these old joists here, right? Beside it, there's a new fresh looking joist. So if you look at all of these beams as we're walking across, just about every single one was compromised, because whoever the previous contractor was, or whoever decided that they're going to take, doing construction into their own hands, decided that it would be a wise decision to put their ductwork through them like that. So we actually had round ducts heading all the way through. Now there's a cut. It's hard to see in some of the other ones because in the other beams they might have been compromised in the middle portions or wherever, but just about every single one was just fried. I mean, you can kind of see them as we're walking through right now. If you think that from a structural capacity, a floor joist like that has the meat in there to support the loads that it's going to be carrying. That's why it's sized appropriately. And when you cut a big hole in there, you're taking away all of the structural integrity of what that beam actually does. So the only way we can really solve it, and rather than having to take out the old beams, because even if you look at this one in particular, it goes till here, and there's like 3 blocks and like a little chunk of wood coming out of it. I mean, just ridiculous. So rather than fiddle farting around with it, what we decide to do in these kind of situations is literally just run a brand new sister beam. That's what they call it. So when you have to sister the beams all the way to the other side, and what that does is it carries the load all the way across to the nearest structural beam. Okay, and that way we kind of have some sort of a guarantee that nothing's going to happen. Okay, we're here on the second floor. You can see a lot of the electrical starting to come together. So this second floor here is actually a separate unit in its entirety. The second floor has a half story up above, which we're going to go up to next as well, which is part of this particular unit. So here is going to be a big living room area, and this over here is going to be the bedroom, and then we have the bathroom, and here we have a little kitchen. It's going to have a nice little island. It's going to look really, really, really cool, actually. So the one issue we came up across here, actually, is we had thought that based on the drawings, we were going to have a lot simpler of a time dealing with the staircase here. And I'll show you what I mean. So when you're walking up the stairs, you always have to consider ceiling height and what you have to play with. You can see we did all the spray foam insulation here. But we've kind of created a nifty idea, or a nifty solution to what our original problem was. But the biggest problem was trying to fit 2 bedrooms into this attic space when we had such little ceiling height between this space right here and the other side of the window there. Because realistically, if you're coming up the stairs at this point here, you would bang your head up against this portion right here. So it looks a lot simpler and it looks a lot obvious right now, but at one point we were actually toying with moving this entire staircase this way. So, and then jotting out the staircase so that the last stair actually came out right here, so when somebody walked up that their head would match the contour. Luckily, it all worked out, and we managed to make a really neat kind of 2-bedroom unit in here, and we added a skylight to make sure that we had the right amount of sunlight and it was operable. This looks so cool. This is actually my first time seeing it as well. So very, very neat how it all came together. They just finished the roof as well, so it'll be nice to see it all complete. Okay, so I just jumped outside here just to show you guys one of the last unknowns. It's a bit of a mess here, actually. So one of the last issues that we really came across here was the back parking situation. Now, if you take a look here, we kind of have like a temporary parking spot right here, which people have been using. But what the city has now changed, and this was, I guess, a recent change, is that they want to have permeable pavers in the backyard. So if you see the neighbor's yard here where they have asphalt, we can't do that here in Hamilton anymore. What we have to have, now, mind you, because this here is existing, it's going to be okay and it's going to be allowed to stay. But because we have this grass portion here that we are planning and we've been approved to turn into a parking lot, we have to create a parking lot such that it allows water to flow through it and not create any sort of, you know, like erosion control type problems, like sending excess water to the neighbors' yards on either side, right? So, I mean, these are things that, like, obviously when the city and the planning department gets together and they start to make these kind of rules and regulations, we don't necessarily have control over them, but we have to roll with the punches, right? Because we don't have any other choice. So it does add to costs and it does add to what we have to do, but yeah, fundamentally, I guess it makes sense. It's just, you know, be easier just to get it done. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining me. You can tell it's a bit of a hot one out here, so I'm just heading out. But keep in touch with us and keep following along the progress of this great property. We're not far out, but it's going to be really, really cool once it's all done, all right? Bye.